What's going on, guys? Welcome into today's episode of Money Moves. As always, Matty A, Mr.
Howdy.
Ryan Breedwell, my co-host. We talk all things
Double
stocks,
howdy.
real estate, and personal finance to help you on your wealth building journey. And of course, you know we like to sprinkle in a little current events, a little politics, because we got to keep it spicy. So today we've got some great, there's kind of a lot going on, more in terms of current events and politics than there is in the market and
For both sides.
the data and the states a little. But we got some great stuff for you guys in today's show with some updates on Boeing, on the Francis Scott Key Bridge collapse in Baltimore, True Social with Donald Trump's social network going public and officially trading on the exchange. We've got some updates on Trump's fraud case, what's going on based on FOMC discussions last week and some of the stuff that Powell said, getting your thoughts and takes on that. What's going on with unemployment, layoffs? Is there a recession and or a bull market around the corner? We will get Mr. Breedwell's take on that. So before we dive in, if you're new to the show, welcome. If you enjoy what we talk about, all we ask, subscribe and leave a review on whatever platform you enjoy listening to this content on. And, don't forget to share it out. Share it with a friend, a family member, somebody that you know is tapped in and looking to learn around wealth building, put more tools on their tool belt, looking to be a part of conversations. I saw an interesting statistic, and this is affirming how important it is, in my opinion, to make sure that you're in the right conversations. I saw the statistic that, where is it at? Let me find it. 40% of Gen Z TikTok users have made career or investment-related decisions based on advice on the app. So when you think about the people that are on TikTok, I'm going to say probably a very small percentage of them are experts, true experts in their field. Not only experts that know what they're talking about, but have a resume and a track record of executing at a high level of what they're teaching and telling people to do.
Nobody.
We won't get you started.
Nobody that is legit is on TikTok. I've never seen one. I know a lot of legit people. I know a lot of not legit people. And everybody that I know that I would consider not legit is on TikTok.
Well, especially
and nobody that I know that is legit has any fucking time to make a TikTok.
I was going to say.
And I'm saying specifically in financial services space. Because we're regulated in a different way. There's certain things that we're held to. So, we really can't market ourselves. I'll tell you this. 9 out of 10 of the people that are on... I would lower it. Probably 6 out of the 10 people that are on TikTok are life insurance agents. They're trying to sell life insurance. Probably the other 4% are regular investors trying to get you to buy a course from them so you can learn what they did, because what they're doing is some magical thing that nobody else knows how to do. That's what you're going to find on TikTok.
Yeah, in the financial sector, right, the wealth building sector, most of the experts are not putting out content at mass, right? So when you think about all the people that are making these financial, these business, these wealth building decisions based on what TikTok is teaching them. But that being said, I think at the end of the day, right, being exposed and opening your mind up to some of these things is a positive and a good thing, but being very careful about what you're executing on.
Agreed.
And the strategies and the game plan is something that you want to make sure you're tapped into a professional about. But it just made me think about, right, how important it is to be a part of the right conversations, hence why we do the podcast every week, hence why we would love for you to subscribe and review and share it with as many people as we possibly can. That being said, we've got Mr. Trump today. Had some pretty big wins in the last 24 hours.
His net worth has gone up significantly. Plenty to cover that reduced bond.
Yeah, so he had his bond reduced to $175 million in his New York fraud case, which is down from the $400 and I think $32 million. Or
New York Court of Appeals, they appealed it and they said, yeah, there's no, essentially the reason it was unreasonable. No bond issuer will underwrite even if you have the collateral, it's too much risk. They're not going to underwrite that bond.
Right.
So
100%. So did you see the reporter ask how he was going to pay for his bond?
Cash.
He's walking
He said,
away.
"What's the collateral for your bond?" He flipped around and said, "Cash."
It was so good though. Like, and then somebody doctored it up with the, the Thug Life glasses coming down over his, and he actually just posted it on his socials today, but he just turns back over his shoulder real slow. Cash.
Yeah, I mean,
and then keeps on walking.
I can tell you this: with as a market close today, estimated net worth would be between 4.4 and 6.6 billion because of the stock price.
Yes. So Trump media is up over 43, and I'm not sure where it's going to land, but 43% today, valuing the company at $9.7 billion. Talk about perfect timing for him and needing some liquidity.
That's way more value than any of his real estate has ever been worth.
Oh, by far.
And if you would sit here and argue that there's no goodwill value in Donald Trump's media, you are high. Because even if you don't like him, he still will get your attention.
100%.
And that is he flipped one on you, little libbies. He got you. He got it's. You know what it feels like? It feels like when Elon Musk used all the money from those green conscious, purple and blue haired people. Sorry if you drive a Tesla and your hair is normal. Tesla lovers, and then switched it around and bought Twitter with it, and then now turned Twitter into the easiest place. Well, not Twitter, X, formerly Twitter, into kind of the easiest place to have free speech now.
Yep. I mean, I think what they're doing to Trump. Again, you know me. I'm not a Trump fan. I don't dislike him. I don't love him. But what he stands for and what he's fighting against, I am behind 100%.
Yeah, agreed.
Because I care about America.
Yep.
And I saw an article that was posted this week, and it was kind of breaking down how insane when you really go through what the left has gone to the extent of doing to try and disqualify this guy as the president.
Oh, it's
the entire world is watching. His son made this post. The entire world is watching. The notion of seizing properties owned by the former president of the United States and the front runner for the president in 2024 and the opposition of the sitting administration, properties belonging to a company that has never missed a payment, never been in default, never breached a covenant, built American skylines, has repeatedly made banks hundreds of millions of dollars while employing thousands of hardworking people, is shattering the trust of not just those in New York, which is really fragile at best right now, but the entire legal system in the United States. I mean, if you think that you're safe after what ultimately whatever opposition has done to go after him because he does not align with or is a threat to what is going on, shouldn't make anybody feel confident investing in New York City, or that at its best that you're going to get a fair and free shot for our justice system and the way it's been operating the last few years.
I saw a clip from analysts on CNN, and they were like, they should drop the property things. It's not going to ever hold up in court when it gets to that, because it will get to that point eventually, even if they seize it on the front end. But the second thing it will do is it not only would remove Joe Biden's chances of becoming president whatsoever, which are still slim right now, which they said this on CNN, it would solidify Trump as being the next president at the next time, because it would jack his numbers up so high, because even people on the left know that that's wrong. There's a portion of them to take somebody's property. And to what you said, I think, was that Eric Trump that said that?
Yeah.
What Eric Trump was saying is true. It's if business is business and personal is personal. If somebody hasn't broken the rule of law, and if you're going to sit here and prosecute Trump for having documents, and then Joe Biden can get found with a ton of documents, and that just gets brushed under. Things have to be equal and fair in a justice system, so that there's an equal playing field for everybody. When it's not, things become like they kind of are now, where it's obvious to anybody with a conscience and half an ounce of common sense that what's going on is not politically right, nor is it morally right. But if it's your team, you're going to yell and root. And it's like, it's almost like the equivalent of saying, being on a sports team, knowing you cheat, like in the movies, the bad guy, the cheating, the team that always wins, but they find out their secret is because they're cheating. Who always wins in the end?
Mm-hmm.
People that do the right thing, because they always figure out a way to get doing the right thing always wins overall. So it's to brag about being on the team that's winning because you're cheating. And I'm not saying cheating anything specifically. I'm just saying it for an example. That's what the equivalent is of saying, hey, the Democratic Party right now is good for America and we do everything the right way. And, oh, Donald Trump, he does everything completely wrong. And anybody who's Republican is a maggot and blah, blah, blah. That's just wild. And so to me, that's the equivalent. And it's sad to see that. But I think if they take the property, or they try to take the property, because they wouldn't be able to take it, it would go to a federal appeals court and get overturned. That's going to solidify it. So it's almost like I want them to, just so it's almost like
it is just one of those things that scares me a little bit of like, you keep throwing enough darts at a dartboard, you're going to hit a target at some point.
Sure, but I don't think this target's hittable. I think this target's moving.
He is moving. It'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. I would hate to see him not be on the ballot because of...
He's already on the ballot. I bubbled in my box and dropped it off at the office with my wife's.
We still got, what, 5-6 months to go, though? Before...
No, for Super Tuesday. We already had it. It was in the beginning of March.
I know that. But at the end of the day...
Oh, yeah, but...
He's still got to make it to...
He won. He's
November.
He has all the delegates. I think he'll make it till November. He has Secret Service protection.
Yeah.
It's not like, I mean, the dude's not, every president, I think since Obama, because Obama made it a law, every president gets lifetime Secret Service. So that he has the same level of security as the current president does. Maybe a few less dudes, but the same level of security. I don't think anything's going to happen to him. He's got plenty of money. He's got plenty of resources. And I would expect to see him on the ballot running an insanely epic campaign. I hope to God. I think the most viewed thing in the world of television that would ever be on
will be the debates.
Would be the debate between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. It would be the most watched television thing in the world.
I don't think they will allow Joe Biden to get up there and get sliced and diced by him.
I need to check, and I'm going to check on this after. I do believe you have to, in the presidential primaries, you have to, because I guarantee you Hillary Clinton didn't want to go on stage with Donald Trump, and she did, and she got eaten alive. Well, so what? I'm gonna look up on that. I'm gonna post that on my Twitter, see what I find.
Well, and I think too, at the end of the day, most people are not far right wingers the way the left wants to make you out to be. Elon
just
Musk,
like most people on the Democratic Party,
are not far lefters.
It's just the ones you can hear.
Most Americans are centrist.
Yes.
And Elon Musk put this on his Twitter the other day that I thought was a good point. He said, "This is a battle to the death with the anti-civilization woke mind virus. My positions are centrist and always have been. Secure borders, safe and clean cities, don't bankrupt America with negligent spending, racism against any race is wrong, no sterilization or gender-affirming care below age of consent. Is this right wing? Or is this just normal stuff that most Americans have enough common sense to say, yeah, let's protect our borders.
In our state,
we should make crime again and have our cities safe and clean so businesses and patrons can patronize these cities and make them amazing. We shouldn't be funding wars and everything around the world and bankrupting the American citizens that don't even get the same care that we're now giving illegals, right? I think today they just decided to hand out prepaid debit cards to migrants in New York City up to $10,000.
They're trying to give them the right to vote.
They are trying to give them the right to vote. I saw this, which I found very interesting.
I don't mind migrants. I love them.
Most
America is built on migration.
Oh, I don't think anybody's anti-immigration.
No,
when you just see who's coming over and the dangers that come along with it.
Did you see the post? Here's a local one. You should go onto X and you should pull the Roseville Sheriff and look at their last sex trafficking raid. And I won't say anything, but you should just check the names of all those people and maybe see what they all have in common.
Yeah.
And they the majority of them were illegal immigrants. Literally, there was one white dude and like 29 adult Hispanic males in my area of Northern California. All of them were trying to buy or traffic somebody for sexual favors, however you want to call it. There's nothing wrong with coming and wanting to come to America, but this is the type of stuff that happens and starts to get out of control when you don't have any filter to push them through. Just think about it. You're not even allowed to fly without going through multiple steps of security.
Yeah.
But you can walk into go walk into any other country and see what happens.
Yeah.
In fact, I'll make you another one. Go try to leave Mexico. Just and say, nope, don't touch me. Just walk. Why? They ain't gonna let you leave.
Yeah.
They're gonna search you down. They're gonna ask you what you came in for and what you're leaving for. Well, why can't we have that equivalent standard for coming into our country?
This is, and we'll digress off the politics here in a quick second, but most Americans are still unaware that the census counts all people. That's including illegal immigrants for deciding how many House seats each state gets.
Yep.
And this ultimately is what the Democrats are kind of banking on and pushing for. This results in Democrat states getting roughly 20 more House seats, which is another strong incentive for them not to deport illegal immigrants and to allow it to be something that is very easy to get over the U.S. There's actually a strategy, and this was, I think, from back in the 60s. It's called the Cloward-Piven strategy, which was first developed in 1966, that seeks to hasten the fall of capitalism by doing three things. And there's more studies on this. You guys can look it up. Basically, his name was something Piven, but he essentially made 3 studies based on how you can create a blueprint for stripping down capitalism: overloading government bureaucracy, crushing national debt, and swarming the country with mass migration. And I don't know if you're paying attention to what's going on right now in America, but the bureaucratic overreach of our government, I think, has been maybe a little bit more than people would like to see. We have an insane amount of national debt and growing significantly by the day. And we have the worst immigration crisis in the history of America.
Ever. Anywhere I think it's like anywhere in the world. We're taking in
millions
countries every month of people.
Yep.
We cannot do that.
So very interesting times. And yet I think a lot of people, again, are awakening up to some of these things and really starting to question.
We're going to have to do mass deportations. It's going to be so ugly.
Yeah, and it feels
it feels wrong.
It feels wrong, right? It feels inhumane, but
we have to do. You know, everybody got mad at Australia, and now nobody's talking. But those motherfuckers, literally, people were on a boat starving. They're like, "You fucking can't come here."
Yeah, and
we told you not to come. Turn around. They would push people away in the ocean. At some level, you have to make adult decisions in this life, and they're hard. But you have to always think about yourself before you can think about others, because if you can't help yourself, you cannot help others. You will join the masses of the crowd in needing help.
Yeah. Well, the Francis Scott Key Bridge collapsed this morning by a ship collision that took out one of its pillars.
A Taiwanese
ended up
tanker,
killing multiple individuals and cars that were driving on that plunged into the ocean. Pretty sobering video if you watch it. There's a lot of people questioning how that happened and why that happened, and I think it's probably too early to make any speculations or take a stance on any of that stuff, but very, very popular headline and topic around what happened there in Baltimore. And I think Joe Biden released a statement later today saying, of course, federal government, we got you, we'll take care of it and rebuild it. But that being said, we have Boeing. Dave Calhoun, CEO, announces his intent to step down after a lot of the stuff that has gone on with their health and safety protocols and a lot of the flights that have been grounded and had legitimate scares for travelers. Boeing is not in a good spot right now.
They're going to do what Disney did, and they went too woke with the DEI bullshit, and they're going to have to call in somebody who's not afraid to say, we're here to make money. We're not here to fluff people's emotions. We're going to make money. We're a company. And they're going to have to turn that around because the DEI initiatives there's nothing, again, it's hiring people
based on
for
qualifications.
the wrong
Who's the best?
reason. Yes. You should be the most qualified person, regardless of race, sex, ideology, religious background. I don't care. But you should not focus on that as the number one qualification to hire somebody. And you can line up when they started implementing that to Boeing's problems, and they run parallel. So that's the thing I can say is that sticks out as the sorest thumb. I'm sure there's other things, but I think it's a good idea. Same thing that happened with Disney when Iger had to come back.
Is there some value in the Boeing stock?
We are buying Boeing and have been and likely will continue. It's too integrated in the commercial airline, into military, into U.S. aerospace and defense. I promise you they make a lot more. The majority of their money, I believe, is made in the U.S. aerospace and defense. So making weapons, not selling commercial airliners. But that's how we know them, is for commercial airliners.
Yep. In the past 3 months, NVIDIA is up 90+%.
That's what was weighing down. They were the weight down for the market today.
They had what, 2 to 3% drop today?
Yeah, and
why is that?
I don't know. I think it's I didn't look into it too much, but I did see that there was a lot of negative volume there. They're likely going to recover from that, and they're probably going to go to a higher stock price in the future. I don't know. But what I will say is I do know is that AMD will eventually bring something out to challenge NVIDIA, and that's going to really shock the price because there's no challengers to NVIDIA right now. But Microsoft fell asleep at the wheel too, and that's how Apple became a bigger company than them, when Microsoft is still a more integrated company than Apple is. Microsoft is used worldwide more than Apple is, but Apple has a larger market cap because they got ahead of Microsoft in innovation. I think that's about to flip itself here very shortly, but you don't want to fall asleep at the wheel because you're number one in a category for any reason. So I do think AMD is going to do something that's going to make them a very appealing, and that's going to be something that's going to have to be taken seriously, especially if you look at the stock price, because people are going to look at AMD and say, wow, look at how low it's trading. Look at where NVIDIA went, and they're going to pile into that stock. So whenever things happen, that could happen. So very interesting times. And I think that the craziest thing is it costs them like $10 to $12 billion US dollars to develop a new version of a chip. That is so much money. That's most of the money that they make. And so that to me is scary, but that's necessary to push where they're going forward, because they need to jam, hundreds of thousands of transistors onto these chips to get AI to work at the level that we want it to. So exciting times.
Last week we saw GetUp give a rate decision.
Yep. Pause.
Was a pause. How did the market respond to that?
Loved it.
And what are we expecting in terms of the 3 rate cuts still happening? Some people are saying that they're not going to cut until later in the year. Some people are saying they may not cut at all. Some people are saying there's still 6 cuts on the table. Where do we make sense of all of the opinions and predictions around what the Fed is going to do with rate cuts?
I don't think there's 6 cuts, because the most they could probably do right now at this point is if they started next meeting, is 5. I think they're probably going to do 3, and I think they're going to, right now, I think the market's telling me they're going to start in June. Market was telling me in January they were going to start in March, though, so things can definitely change. But I think the fallacy that's going on right now is CPI is reported as still being high, and I don't know if the Fed can get to its 2% target. I don't know how feasible that is. That seems like a far stretch, especially with the amount of national debt that we have. It just doesn't make sense. So I think a couple things are going to happen. I think they're going to raise their target up closer to 3%. And that way, when they cut, they don't have to cut as much. And I think the second thing that they're going to have to take into realization is the middle class of America is being squeezed really tight with purchasing power and not being able to buy new cars and not being able to buy new homes and not being able to go on vacations and not being able to pay off credit cards because they're getting behind on debt. I think that that's really the thing that's starting to stick out.
Yep.
And so for people to say, well, yes, but the economy is strong. Look at the S&P is growing. It's at all-time highs every week. We've had a few down days in a row, but those are going to come in a bull market. I think that they have to ignore that and do stuff different, just like we've been doing stuff different, because this whole time has been a new experience for everybody. So at some point, they are going to have to cut. It looks like it makes sense to cut this year. I think what people are worried of, I've seen a lot of people talk about how this is like the 70s because I can line a graph up next to a line and the lines look the same. It ain't nothing like the 70s, folks. Don't be fooled. Different. We didn't do the stuff we do today with the market, and there's too many stops put into place that weren't back then. Cuts in June is where I'm at right now.
Cuts in June is where you're thinking.
Fitch came out a couple weeks ago and said that they thought the same thing.
Yep, they needed to reduce by 75 basis points.
The consensus at the Fed meeting as a whole, they were saying maybe even in May. I think that's probably a little bit of a pipe dream, but June, I think, is very likely. And when that happens, there's going to be a ton of money come off the sidelines, back into the real estate market especially, and then back into the stock market probably after that.
Now, I've been hearing more analysts start throwing around the word stagflation. Is stagflation something that we should be concerned about?
Not with an economy growing.
And I'll just say, last week, strategists from the Bank of America wrote that the macroeconomic picture is flipping from Goldilocks to stagflation, which they defined as growth below 2% and inflation of between 3 and 4%. So
yeah, but our GDP our growth is above 2%. I think the funniest thing is everybody that says recession, I mean, people have been screaming recession for almost 2 years now, and it's quarter after quarter positive GDP, sometimes 4 or 5%. I'm not seeing I don't see growth below 2%. In fact, once interest rates get cut, that's going to jack profit back into the market at a rate that I think is going to be unseen. It'll look like what GDP looked like in the quarters following COVID. It'll be numbers that are astronomically high, but are offset because people are piling their money back into the market that had taken it out.
I saw the jobless rate for 20 to 24-year-olds increase to 7.2% in January. Compared to just 3.2% for workers over 25. Layoff announcements rose 410% year over year in February, according to data from the career coaching firm Challenger, Gray, and Christmas, which was the worst February of layoffs ever recorded since 2009. We're seeing more unemployment jump a little bit. We've seen 44% of Americans say that they can't pay an unexpected $1,000 expense from savings per
the middle class. Yeah, and that's where I'm saying that they're going to need to do something that they're not telling people about. And I think I mentioned a couple weeks ago, I heard whispers of them potentially raising the Fed funds target rate, and I think that they might do that. You heard it here first.
So how are retail investors expected to navigate the market over the next quarter?
Retail investors are not and should not try to navigate the market. Just like I should not go and race in F1 this Saturday. I know how to drive a car, no doubt, but I do not know how to drive it with the professionals. Retail investors should look for a financial professional and really a financial advisor who can help them collectively put together their goals all in one area, a financial plan, and put together a plan to make that work. Because ultimately, until you do that, you have investments. A lot of people have investments. But they don't have a financial plan. So retail investors should not be trying to navigate the market. If you're a retail investor and you don't have an advisor, I would recommend that you just buy an index fund and do that for the rest of your life and be happy with the paltry returns that you're going to get from that.
Just talk about that. Like if somebody at a bare minimum did nothing but that for 20 or 30 years, what would that look like?
You'll get the same return as the stock market.
Or
you could work with somebody that has experience beating the stock market sometimes because they have a focus on risk to the downside to a degree. And they have a crystal ball, but a magnifying glass out looking for opportunity. It's stuff that you don't have time nor the expertise to do as a retail investor. So most retail investors, the DAL bar report, said that after inflation and taxes are taken into account, that the average rate of return that a retail investor normally sees is sub 3%.
Wow.
They take their money out of the market at the wrong times. They put it in at the wrong times. They don't buy the right things when they put their money in. And it's because you just don't know what to do. It seems complicated, but me and you could go to a restaurant. We can go down to Hawks and we're going to order something off the menu and we're going to love to eat it. And it's food and we could make that food at our house. We could try it. Hawks would be hard.
Yeah.
So we would rather have a professional make it for it, and we will pay them to make it because that experience is better than if I made it myself.
Yeah.
That's the same thing that retail investors can expect working with a quality financial advisor and somebody who has their best interest in mind and somebody who's holistic and somebody that will put that all in a financial plan to show them how it works. It is not hard to do. I just had a review with one of our listeners. I can't say his full name, but I can give him a little shout out. Shout out Ricardo. He's beating the market quite a bit in his portfolio by a large percentage on an average rate of return. And he's like, when I started doing, this plan 2.5, 3 years ago with you, I did not think that was kind of possible. I thought like, okay, I'll get good rates of return. But we built the plan. I set the plan up and he's put it on autopilot. And now not only is he increasing his contributions, but he's getting to the point where he can now afford to buy more individual stocks and he can mix that into his game. And that's going to even more so increase the rates of return that we're getting. It's not hard. It's just hard to make the decision to allow somebody to take your life savings at that point, right? Your whole discretionary income towards your investments and put it to work. But I will tell you, you will always get better in investment results by doing so. And anybody who says otherwise is not looking at that. Because if you think a professional money manager is not going to outperform a retail investor, you're wrong. That's why we have jobs and that's why we have careers, and everybody behind all those ETFs and mutual funds that are that you buy, financial advisors like myself that run them.
Yep.
So that's my recommendation. I don't think retail investors should try to do anything more than buy and hold. But if they're looking for a better experience, if they want something more, they should look for an advisor that they can trust.
Yep. And I know obviously you mentioned it a little bit. Ryan and his amazing team do portfolio x-rays for any of our listeners that have a portfolio. You've got an advisor and you maybe want a second opinion. You want somebody to go through it with a fine-tooth comb and also build you out a plan that could perform better. Then one of the best ways to do that for free, Ryan and his amazing team do that for you. And you can connect with them by texting the word x-ray to 844-447-1555. Now, based on where we are closing out the quarter.
Yeah, it's wild.
Is there any Q2 predictions that you want to throw out there around the market as a whole?
Yeah. Everybody's going to be talking about rate cuts. Yeah, it's going to be the number one. Excuse me, y'all. I think that it's going to be very interesting to see what the real estate market does right now, because seasonality is coming into play where the real estate market tends to be.
Things are heating up.
Yep, and they're actually heating up again. And so this is the type of stuff that would go against the rate cut side, right? If the real estate market keeps heating up. So we will have to see, because there's going to be all this balance of information, all this fluid data flowing. And it's all going to land and settle somewhere, and nobody knows where. And people make a lot of money by predicting and being right when they predict. I'm hoping it lends us to getting to rate cuts sooner rather than later, because you and I would both be very happy. So would our constituents and clients if we had rate cuts.
Big time. National House Price Index came out, Case-Shiller report, which is up 6% year over year. That's January data. So we're still seeing plenty of demand go after the inventory that is out there and available. Inventory is jumping, but still nothing significant compared to 2019. I think reports as of this last week were about 38% of where inventory below where inventory was at in 2019. Again, we all know where the market was at then. So still, significantly low amount of inventory per the amount of demand and how quickly it's getting absorbed when the inventory actually hits the market. Now, if you're not priced accordingly, right, things along those lines, days on market are a lot higher and that inventory might be sitting. But for the most part, anything that's quality is going, and it's going quickly. Even bad stuff is going quickly. I did see an interesting stat that 44% of all single-family home purchases were by private investors in 2023 per Washington Times. I need to dig in on that data point a little bit more to see, were those funds, were those, REITs, were those family offices, are those just private investors? What does that real pool of data look like? Because, of course, a lot of people want to get all up in arms saying that, hedge funds are buying up all of the housing inventory that's available, and that actually might be true. We continue to move more towards a renter's nation, and hedge funds are smart. I remember back in 2010 when I got into real estate and I was wholesaling houses to Invitation Homes, which was an arm of Blackstone.
Yeah.
And they were buying these houses 20, 30, at the time, 40% more than the value I thought they were worth. And I'm like, why are they doing this? And then 5 years down the road, I realized that they were actually buying those houses at what the time was 30, 40% more than what they should have been, was really in the macro picture, like 40% of the value that they actually ended up turning into.
Yeah.
So when you think about all the resources, the foresight, and the financial capacity that these big funds have, they might be buying up a lot of this housing inventory, even as expensive as it might feel to certain people, based on some insights and some predictions that they believe housing values and affordability is not going to be getting any better. If anything, it's going to continue to be going up and be more challenging. And they are holding on to assets that they think are going to appreciate quite significantly. And they're going to have a pretty hefty amount of the supply that allows them to control a lot of those rent prices, a lot of those market fluctuations. So I'm paying close attention to that one. But again, I still think there's plenty of opportunity out there for anybody that's looking to get in single family housing. And if you think, waiting on the sidelines for rates to drop is going to be the best option for you to get in and buy a house or to get in and buy an investment property, you're wrong. Yesterday was the right time to do it, because things are only going to continue to move upwards when you've got rates dropping. More demand is going to come off the sidelines. More people are going to be fighting for less houses, which is going to pump prices all the way up again. And we're going to go on this interesting, cycle of another bull run in real estate, which really the bear market has been the last 18 months. And it's been working through, what the Fed has done. But the second they start cutting again, it's going to be very interesting for the housing market, and ultimately how the Fed navigates that, being that shelter and housing is such a large component of our economy.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a wild time. And to cap it all off, we have an election year.
Ooh.
Oh man. But you know what I will tell you, that's very positive. Very rare do we have an election year with a down market. Almost never. Well, statistically, through it, both sides, left and right.
Interesting. So that might give you a little bit more confidence to stay invested and continue investing through these times. My prescription is I'm never stopping investing.
Yeah.
Ever.
Why would you?
Ever. Some you do more, some you do less, but you got a bare default threshold that you're going to do no matter what every single year. Now, speaking of investing, we got to touch on crypto a little bit.
Yeah, it's just moving a little bit sideways, spiking up, going down.
I think Bitcoin was right around 70K, 69-ish when we first started recording this.
Spiked up above 70.
Still holding. 71. It hasn't retraced too significant.
No, but it's also I don't know, it doesn't look like it has a catalyst to fly. It looks kind of stuck.
Well, according to Kathy Wood, she says the price of Bitcoin could head to 3.8 million, maybe a little bit more conservative. Standard Chartered has said that Bitcoin to rally to 150,000 this year and could touch 250,000 in 2025.
That would make its market cap larger than. Well, I'm having a hard time with that one. I don't know. Because I would ask you, mine is buying it, hoping the price is higher and somebody buys it. Where are you spending Bitcoin?
Yeah.
When you sell your Bitcoin, it's worth what? It's worth 150 what? Shekels? Dollars. You got to convert it to fiat anyway. So I don't really know what value that has. I eventually think that's going to be a question people are asking. Wait, we're investing in Bitcoin for what again?
Well, I am interested to see more, like CEO Larry Fink, BlackRock, was so against it. And then over the course of like the last year or so, he's gotten really...
They fucking underwrite the ETFs. Of course he is. That motherfucker's lying.
He has changed his tune a lot, right? And now
they're making money.
They're buying a lot of it themselves, right?
Because they have to. They're only doing it because they have to. The rules on the ETF is there has to be, if it says that you have XYZ, each dollar has to represent a real Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
So they're custodying it, but I'm sure they own some.
Well,
they're not MicroStrategy. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, but I guess what I'm saying is if I start seeing smart money go and gobble up what has a finite supply.
They're not gobbling it up.
They're not.
No, they're holding assets for people that are gobbling it up and billing them.
Okay.
They're absolutely...
But there's some reports out there that say they are also buying it themselves.
Bullshit. No, they're not.
You're not buying it?
Nope.
Because my thought would be, if I was a BlackRock.
I've not seen one 13K disclosing that they are. We have a contract with BlackRock, so I will just tell you I know quite a bit about BlackRock.
Mm-hmm.
They are not buying in amounts like MicroStrategy or in serious, maybe in speculative amounts, but in dollar amounts that are big to us or like to them.
Got it, yeah.
They are not buying crypto. Absolutely not. Are they holding a wrapper around your crypto and charging you a fee and laughing all the way to the fucking bank because you can buy it for free on Coinbase? Yes, they are. Are they? That's the funniest part. That's just how easy it is for retail investors to get tricked.
Mm-hmm.
They're watching it right in front of their eyes.
Well, dude, I saw a TikTok financial guy tell me that BlackRock was buying up all of the Bitcoin.
Same guy told me about the Pope flying gold over to,
No, but I just, my thought behind that was if some of these, if there's a finite supply of something and it's starting to get real traction, real consumer awareness, and the prices are surging, and you have the capacity to go and buy a significant amount of that market supply.
So then you know what? Blackstone should go buy all the U.S. homes then. And then we should all just be renters.
Right? But that's...
So do you see where that
becomes... I do.
Yeah. And it's funny that people are okay with it in one arena, but then hypocritical and not okay with it in another. So again...
It is interesting.
Come on.
Just pointing that out.
Come on home to your... I'm not going to be wrong on this. I know I'm not. Because I hear the conversations y'all don't. And I promise you, all the executives at these ETF companies are fucking loving Bitcoin because they play.
It's just another sexy.
It's a pure momentum play, and they are like, you guys want to gamble on that? We hated it when we weren't billing you. Now we're billing you.
Go for it,
baby, and do it on our platform. Because if you're gonna buy it from anybody, you're gonna buy it from us. I'm telling you, it's the funniest thing in the world when I look at it. Because it's clear as day that's what's going on. There's no serious player. Not one serious player is buying. MicroStrategy is not a serious player. I'm sorry, MicroStrategy.
You've mentioned MicroStrategy a few times. Who are they and what have they been doing in that space?
I think at this point they own 1% of all the Bitcoin ever created.
And that was, they've got tens of billions into
billions of dollars.
Yeah.
Yep. And so that you have to ask yourself, is that something you want? Because now there's only 99%. Well, the other 99% is not fully owned, but a lot of people own it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want some kid that spent $37 on Bitcoin when it was, 1/1,000,000th of a penny to own 9%
of the supply?
Of the supply, man. Are you like kidding? I'm not saying that the U.S. has been perfect with their money management, neither of institutions. There's been fraud, the financial crisis. I would just simply point at Sam Bankman-Fried because y'all thought he was Jesus too. And he was the and KuCoin just got indicted for a multi-billion. Yeah. I'm telling you guys, the hypocrisy that exists in the crypto community is sad. It's okay when it's us, and it's not okay when it's them, and we're holy and we don't do anything bad, but we're doing the exact same thing, and it's even worse. Come on, you ain't fucking with me. I can see right through it. Well, no Bitcoin for Ryan.
Wait, which one's your favorite again? Is it Ripple?
No, I don't like any of them. But you should not buy any crypto. But I have purchased Solana.
Solana, that's what it was. Okay, I saw Ripple needs to pay a proposed $1.95 billion in fines, the SEC has said in the proposed final judgment. You got KuCoin wrapped up in all kinds of Coinbase wrapped up in like there's a crypto bloodbath going on right now around all of the dark underbelly in the crypto world that is starting to get exposed. And these big exchanges are starting to get their hands slapped, and a lot of the skeletons in their closets are coming out.
They're going to damn jail.
Yeah. I mean, they're trying to, I think, put Sam Bankman-Fried away for 50 plus years.
I would, honestly, that would be great.
Lock him up.
Yep.
So, all very interesting stuff. Again, we will continue to keep you guys posted in news and updates. Let's just say you know where to find us each and every week. We're not going to be like P. Diddy and fly off to the, what was it? The Caribbean, trying to avoid what is not looking like a very good public.
I don't think that people act that way when they don't have anything to hide.
But again, anybody that's doing shady stuff like that needs to have some accountability, whether it's Sam Bankman-Fried, whether it's P. Diddy, whether it's anybody doing things that ultimately are so illegal and against American values. Accountability. So don't forget to tune in each and every week. If you enjoy the show, subscribe, leave a review. Don't forget to check out millionaiремindcast.com. If you guys want to connect with Ryan and his amazing team, text the word X-ray to 844-447-1555. If you're an accredited investor and you want to get on my deals list and look at different opportunities that are out there and available, you can text the word deals to that same phone number, 844-447-1555. We appreciate you guys tuning in each and every week. Until next week's episode, keep investing in yourself and your wealth on your march to $1 million and beyond. Cheers.
Cheers, y'all.